Good morning and welcome to your Farm and Home Show. My name is Joanna Coles, and this morning we're visiting with Dr. Kenny Burdine. He's with the University of Kentucky. He's Extension Econ Specialist there. Good morning, Kenny.
Morning, Joanna. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I'm glad you're here today. You guys have been working on cow-calf profitability conferences even before COVID, and you guys were able to have one. And I think it's so important because right now, a lot of beef cattle producers are starting to put pencil to the paper, really trying to figure out their profitability for this upcoming season. And I just kind of wanted to talk about, is that conference still available to producers online in an online format?
We did put those together kind of in a virtual format. We did a webinar version over 3 consecutive nights, and we had pretty good attendance for sure. But we also recorded those, so you can go online, you can watch those actual videos, and we actually also have the handouts, our slides and materials available as well. So you can basically get the same exact content that you would have gotten live at one of those by using that webinar format.
Absolutely. Because one of the things I think that beef cattle producers sometimes struggle with is actually knowing the cost of production. There's so many factors that go into that and so many variabilities, but it's probably the starting point for a lot to figure out profitability.
Absolutely. Cow-calf operations are so complex. And in a lot of ways, you can almost think about a cow-calf operation as being 3 or 4 different enterprises kind of rolled into one, right? Most of our cow-calf operations not only manage a cow herd, they produce their own hay, develop their own heifers. They do a lot of those kind of things that are very much interlinked with their cow-calf operation. And the way that we tried to approach those conferences, in our opening session, we talked about the basic budget. We said, okay, now we're going to focus on what are the key things that are going to impact your cost. So for example, we started with kind of winter hay feeding, right? So we talk about improved winter hay feeding strategies. We talk about managing hay production costs, both variable costs and overhead cost. We talk about things like managing, replacement heifer costs. That's another big one. So we really try to spend most of our time talking about the things that have the biggest impact on the bottom line. We didn't ignore anything, but we spent less time talking about the things that have a smaller percentage impact on the cost of the operation.
Absolutely. And so we start with a basic budget, cost of production, but then you guys move forward about some management tips and things people need to consider.
That was a piece I kind of took the lead on. I really enjoy working with basic management decisions for cow-calf operations. And we looked at several things, but some of the more common ones we talked about, first of all, doing the little things, looking at, do I want to sell green calves or do I want to sell wean calves? We talked about the advantage of selling steers versus bulls. We focused some on calving season and talked about lot size and talked about the idea that, late calving cows, because they tend to wean smaller calves and tend to have fewer of them, they tend to bring us less revenue because A, those calves are smaller, and B, they sell in smaller groups. So a lot of those kind of things that were management driven, we talked about. We also talked about cow size, frankly, Joanna, which is not always something folks like to talk about, but we didn't really talk about an optimal cow size, but what we talked about was if you've got larger cows, you've got to expect proportionally larger calf for them to cover their costs because frankly, they're going to cost you more to maintain. So some things like that I think a lot of times we don't think about, we try to focus on as part of that management consideration section.
And a lot of those things are money that we leave on the table, but it's hard to tangibly see that until somebody points that out. And I think this season, producers are going to be more in tune with some of those decisions, like the culling decisions, pregnancy checking. And I think frame size is something very important because the feed costs are so expensive.
I think we're going to have to. There's probably no way around it. We're dealing with so many things on the input cost side. Fertilizer is going to have a big impact on certainly our pasture maintenance cost, also our hay production cost. Things like fuel. You mentioned feed directly. Whether I'm buying purchase feed for a cow-calf operation or whether I'm producing hay or buying hay to feed my cows this winter, they're going to tend to move together some.
Now, Kenny, you guys have a lot of resources on your website. How can people find some of these resources?
We're pretty easy to find. agecon.uky.edu is with the publications section, which you want to think about more things that are written. So informational publication type things. What probably more people utilize than even our publications are our budgets and decision aids, but we've got a lot of budgets and decision aids that are geared towards cow-calf operations. There's a lot of tools that you can utilize to improve your profitability if you spend a little time working through those.
All right, Kenny. Well, certainly appreciate you visiting with us today. And if you have any questions, make sure to contact your local extension office. We'd be happy to help. Thanks for watching and have a great day.